Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to a brand new mod spotlight. This time taking a look at a mod that I've used quite a lot recently throughout many different mod packs. It's part of my Direwolf20 mod pack right now, and it is storage drawers. Storage drawers is a cool mod that adds drawers that you can store stuff in. There's a bunch of features and functionality to it. Those who have seen my Let's Play series and a lot of the Skyblock series I do are familiar with probably some of the functionality of storage drawers, but there's a few things that I've rarely or never used, so I want to make sure to do a full-blown mod spotlight so you guys know all about the mod and how it works. There's a bunch of cool stuff it can do. So, without further ado, let's take a look at storage drawers. So, storage drawers, huh? It's a mod that adds a bunch of drawers that you can store stuff in. It's pretty straightforward. Your most basic drawer is this one. It is 6 oak wood planks with a chest in the center. You'll notice that it comes in all the flavors of Minecraft wood. So you've got your spruce and birch and jungle and acacia and dark oak, in addition to the oak. This is your most basic drawer, okay? You place it in the world and it can hold one type of item. So unlike a regular chest that can hold multiple types of items, this can only hold one. Okay, to insert items, like I just did, you right click, and it basically will put in whatever's in your hand. To release items or get items out, you left click to get a single item, and shift left click to get an entire stack. So right click to insert whatever's in your hand, the full stack, shift left click to extract the full stack. If you want to put stone in, it is a right click to insert the stone, shift left click to remove it, or you can double right click and it'll insert all the stone in your inventory. Like so. And if there's already stone in there, you can double right click on the basic drawer as well to insert all stone that's in your inventory. So basically if there's already an item inside the basic storage drawer, it'll just take every of that type out of your inventory with a double right click. Pretty useful feature if you want to be able to just drop stuff off quickly. And the same with extracting, left click to remove one, and shift left click to remove an entire stack at a time. In addition to your basic drawer, which holds, one set of items, you've got the basic drawers, which is 1 by 2. This is pretty cool. It is 2 storage drawers in one. Basically, you can hold one set there and another set there, and you'll see it renders on the block face what is in which drawer, just like it did on this one. However, notice that this indicates that there's a stack limit of 32. By default, your basic drawer can hold 32 stacks of items. So if you threw diamond swords in there, you could hold a total of 32 diamond swords. If you threw stone in there, you could hold 32 stacks of stone. Okay? With your basic drawers, it splits that in half because it's 2 drawers, right? So you'll see here it says stack limit 16. So you can hold 16 stacks of stone and you can hold 16 stacks of cobblestone. So if we were to get ourselves a bunch more stone, notice it's holding 16 and it won't take any more. That is the limit to what it can hold by default. There's upgrades, which we'll take a look at in a minute. Finally, we've got this guy, basic drawer 2 by 2. What this does is split it into 4 sets. So this can hold 4 different items. So if you wanted to hold things like cobblestone in one corner, and stone in another, and redstone in another, and steak and chips in another, no problem. Notice the stack limit is 8. As you might expect, 32 stacks divided by the 4 sets is 8 stacks per drawer. The same rules and functionality applies, by the way. So if you double right click on your stone drawer, you'll see it'll fill it up to the 8 stacks, which is the limit, taking it out of your inventory. So all the same rules as the same basic drawer apply. Now, if you want something that's a little bit smaller in terms of inventory space and something that looks a little bit nicer, you might want to get these guys, which are your half drawers. They come in a 1 by 2 variant here. They also come in a slightly different 1 by 2 variant or 2 by 2 variant. So yeah, that's what we got. So what you've got here is basically this and this. This can hold a stack limit of 8 because it's half of this. And this can hold a stack limit of 4 per drawer because it's half of that. For the budding artist in all of us, there is the framing table. So this is pretty cool. You can get a framed drawer, which holds 32 stacks, or the 1 by 2 drawer, the 2 by 2 drawer, the 1 by 2 half drawer, and the 2 by 2 half drawer. All of these exist as framed objects, and you can frame them and customize the appearance. So check this out. Place your framed drawer in the crafting table, or the framing table right here, and you'll see it rendered on top of the framing table, which is super nice. Now, when you place an item in one of these 3 slots, it'll change the appearance of the object. And you can kind of see what it's pointing at if you pay attention to the lines that are coming off of this. So let's use something that's really obvious, like lapis, redstone, and something that's green. How about green wool? Does that sound cool? Basically, all you do here is place your items in these slots, and it'll take on the texture of that block. So the top left slot here is the outer squares. So if we were to go ahead and place this in here, you'll notice that the outside edges all look like redstone. Neat. Okay, the bottom slot here is the front face. So if we were to place this in here, you'll see the front face looks like lapis. Cool. And then finally, the top left slot is pointing to the border. So if we were to put green wool in there, green wool takes on the appearance of the border. It looks hard because it's something that I made, but those of you who are better at decorating things could totally go ahead and make this look nicer. Cool though, right? So you can totally, make whatever you want. Pretty much any block texture should work here, and it should take on the appearance of those blocks as designated in the framing table. Pretty cool. And all the same functionality that you might expect exists. Now let's talk about upgrading your drawers, because this is pretty cool. Basically, you can craft an upgrade template, which is any drawer surrounded by sticks, and you get 2 of them, right? And there's a bunch of different storage upgrades available. First off, storage upgrades. There's tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's pretty much it. So your tier 1 requires obsidian. Tier 2 requires iron. Tier 3 requires gold. Tier 4 requires diamond. And Tier 5 requires emeralds. These increase the storage amount by the amount indicated on their tooltip. For example, the Tier 1 upgrade doubles the amount of storage it can hold. Your basic drawer can hold 32 stacks, as you can see on the Whale tooltip. If we right-click the storage upgrade 1 in there, it turns that to a 64 stack upgrade. Neat. Now, if you want to see what upgrades are in there or interact with the drawer in more of an interesting manner, shift right-click with an empty hand. What you'll see is what items are stored in there. So if there were stone in there, for example, you would see that up there and how much there is. Cool. If we double-click there, you'll see there's 960 stone totally available in there, and you can see the storage upgrade. You'll also notice that there are 5 slots for storage upgrades. So you can put a total of 5 upgrades in here. There are the storage ones and a few others that we haven't seen just yet. So keep in mind what you want to do. Now, what's cool is you don't need to go from one tier to the next. If you wanted to, you could just throw a storage upgrade 2 right in there, no problem. You can just kind of click it in, or you can right-click it. Now it can hold 96 stacks of items, because it tripled it, right? It took 32 times 3, that becomes 96. And it goes up from there. Gold is 5, diamond is 8, and emerald, which is not, crazy, 13 times base value. So if you want to hold a lot of stone, you can totally throw an emerald upgrade. Now your stack limit is 416. This can hold 416 stacks of stone. Nice. And you can add more. So if you wanted to, the max upgrade you could possibly do is to have 5 emerald storage upgrades in there. And with that, you have the capability of storing 2,080 stacks of stone. How crazy is that? Pretty crazy, actually. And you can do the same thing to your other upgrade chests. So notice by default, each of these can hold 8. Now they can hold 104, 208, 312, 416, 520. So this thing can hold a total of 520 stacks of the 4 sets of items that we place in there. Pretty spiffy. Now, some other upgrades you could throw in there are these guys, the status upgrades. The status upgrade 1 will have a red light on it when it's full versus when it's not full. And then the fill level upgrade, which is the status upgrade 2, shows the same progress bar, but kind of filling up as it goes. So the more stone we have in there, the more that fills up, right? And, if we throw a bunch of stone in there, it'll kind of fill up all the way until it gets maximally full, and then the line will be full. So you can see at a pretty good glance how full the drawer is with that red line being right there. Pretty spiffy. If you want to instead just have the tier 1 status upgrade in there, not a problem. All that's going to do, if you're 1 short, so 31 stacks, times 64 plus 63 items, so we're literally 1 item short of being full, the light is completely off. Put that 1 more item in there and the light is completely on. So that's the difference between those 2 upgrades. With the storage upgrade 2, obviously you should probably barely be able to tell the difference with the 1 item missing. The next upgrade you've obviously seen me use in a lot of Skyblocks if you've watched, and it is the Void upgrade. It's pretty useful. By default, once the drawer is full, it can't accept any more items. So notice that these stacks of stone just won't go in there. Not going to happen. However, if you throw a Void upgrade on this thing, what it's going to do is automatically destroy any excess items that land in this chest. So if you decide, I want to keep 32 stacks of stone around, but any more stone that shows up, just get rid of it. It's wasteful. I don't need it. This is really good for things like cobblestone when you have an automatic mining system, system, or if you're playing on a skyblock when you're automatically generating a lot of resources. You know that you want to keep a full set amount, but you just get rid of whatever's left because it's wasteful, right? When the void upgrade is in there, any other stone added just gets destroyed. So it's voided. So double click and it's all gone. See you later. Stone's gone forever. Now, if you remove a stack, obviously, and put it back in, it'll continue to fill and act like normal. It only voids anything past the maximum limit. And obviously, you can combine this with, for example, your storage upgrades, and now it'll keep 416 stacks in there and go ahead and void any excess beyond that. Neat, right? Next up is the Redstone upgrade. Basically, it makes storage drawers work like there's a comparator next to a chest. In that, it'll emit a redstone signal equivalent to how much full the storage drawer is. So for example, if it were half full, which is, I was close, 16 out of 32, it'll emit a redstone signal of 7. And a little bit more of that goes up to 8, and all the way full is up to 15. Cool. And obviously an empty one would be 0. Neat. Now, in tandem to that, there is the Redstone Min upgrade and the Redstone Max upgrade. These really only applicable to basic drawers that have more than one inventory slot to them, right? So in the case of the Min upgrade, it's going to emit the signal for the least full slot. So whatever slot is least full. So note that when we, put some items in here, and let's say that we had, I don't know, a bunch of stone. So we'll put like this polished stone in here, and we'll put some andesite in here, and we'll put regular stone in here, right? The redstone signal being output is a signal strength of 2, which probably applies to the andesite or the stone, right? Because there's only a stack of those, right? If we remove the entire stack from one, now it's down to 0. So whatever stack is the smallest is the one that we're going to get a redstone signal strength coming out of, right? So that's a redstone signal strength of 2, probably again applicable to the andesite that's in there. Pretty cool. Now, conversely to that is the Redstone Max upgrade, which emits a signal for the most full slot. Basically, what this does is it takes a look at the fullest slot. In this case, it is the polished andesite, which is completely full because it's 8 stacks full, and that becomes a signal strength power of 15. So basically, the min one takes a look at the smallest stack in the drawer and emits a redstone signal based off of it, and the max one looks at the largest stack in the drawer and emits a redstone signal based off of it. In addition to all this stuff are 2 non-craftable upgrades, the creative storage upgrade, which basically allows you to have pretty much an infinite amount of stacks of items in there, so you can put all the stone you want in there to your heart's content, and it should have no problem holding it. It says near infinite, so I don't know if there's an actual limit, but you can see with 42 stacks in there, it's emitting a redstone strength of 1, so who knows. That's non-craftable, by the way, so pretty much plan on that not being craftable, and you can only get it through cheat mode. Cool. And in order to get that out of there, we'll probably have to break the chest or something. The other non-craftable storage upgrade that's creative is the creative vending upgrade. What this does is make it so all you have to do is put one item in there, and then now it's got an infinite amount of that item. And you can see, instead of being able to hold an infinite amount, it has an infinite amount. So you can pretty much make this for any maps where you want to provide the player with an infinite amount of X resource. And just like the other one, you can't get that creative vending upgrade out of the storage drawer. And if you break the storage drawer, it's not going to give you that upgrade back. So pretty nice thing for map makers and stuff to use if you want to be able to say, hey, here's an infinite amount of X, right? And again, not craftable in survival mode. You have to cheat that in. There are 4 keys that manipulate and change the way drawers work, and they're all actually pretty cool and useful. Let's take a look first at the first basic key, the drawer key. What it does is it locks or unlocks drawers. So basically the way this works is if you right-click with the lock, you'll see a little lockup icon appear on the top, and you can right-click again to unlock it. When you place items in here, it'll remember the type of item, and then when you fully extract all the items, even though there's nothing in it and it's a completely empty inventory, it'll remember that cobblestone is what's supposed to be in there. So that way you can't accidentally put something else in there, like torches, right? You can double-click still and, put all the cobblestone in. So now all the cobblestone that was in my inventory went in there. And even if you don't have cobblestone in your hand, you can double click and it'll, send it all in, which is pretty awesome. So basically you can lock it and it'll remember what item is in the inventory and won't let it, ever not be that item. If you want to change that functionality, obviously unlock it and then empty the inventory of all items and it'll be cleared. In addition to this, if for some reason you don't want to see the label of what's in there, you can use the concealment key. This hides the label. Boom, now you have no idea what's in there. Haha. And you can right click again. Obviously, if you shift right click with an empty hand, you'll be able to see what's in there. So this is more for decorative purposes than anything. The personal key, hard to demonstrate, but basically it says protect access from other players. So now that it's set to personal, only I can access this block. And finally, the quantify key will show as a tooltip on the bottom the amount of items in there. Nice. So as you fill items into the drawer, you can see more and more stuff going in there, and it'll give you the count of how many items are inside. All these keys work on all types of drawers, as you can see here. So I can go ahead and show you the example of the concealment and the quantify key. Cool. Finally, there's a nifty little device called packing tape. This seals drawers for moving. Very useful. So if you have all these items sitting here, you probably might want to move this drawer at some point, and it would be a big pain to empty it out, especially if you had 2,000 stacks of cobblestone or something insane like that. So simply right-click with the packing tape, and what it'll do is make it so that it is inaccessible, but you can break the block. Probably best to use something that can break wood. Boom, and it'll pick it up. And you'll notice that it tells you what's in there, content sealed within. You can now move it to a new location, and when placed, it'll be available for use again. If you need to move it again, just use the packing tape again. As you can see, the packing tape does have a damage modifier on it, so after so many uses, you'll have to make some new ones. There's another drawer type that I haven't demonstrated to you yet, and that is the compacting drawer. It's a little hard to explain how it works without just demonstrating it. Basically, the way the compacting drawer works, and I'm going to demonstrate it with gold, is that it can turn ingots into blocks and ingots into nuggets automatically. So when you place gold into your compacting drawer, it's going to automatically give you the option to get that gold back out as nuggets, gold ingots, or gold blocks. This works because the way the compacting drawer works is it basically looks at the item that you place in there and says, hey, do you have a 3x3 pattern that matches a block form of this material? And it also needs to have a reverse lookup. In other words, it has to have a block structure that goes back to the 9 ingots. So 9 ingots to a block, and block goes back to 9 ingots, then I'll allow you to work inside the compacting drawer. And the same for nuggets. Do you have a nugget version of this item, and you also have a reverse nugget version of this item? Yeah. Okay, so as long as you've got that, then you're good to go, and the compacting drawer will work. This will not work with things like stone, because while stone has a pattern like this for stone bricks, it doesn't have a stone brick back to stone recipe. So as a result, stone will not do this. You can store stone in a compacting drawer to your heart's content. It has a stack limit of 16, but it's not going to have any cool benefit. Sometimes in complex mod packs, compacting drawers sometimes work the way you expect, and sometimes it does not work the way you expect. So it's a little bit funny. Mod pack authors, so the advanced users out there, have config options that they can play around with to get things to work the way they should or not work the way they shouldn't. Typically, the mod author Jaquandro goes ahead and tries to err on the side of caution. So Jaquandro says, hey, if this might be wrong, I'm not going to have it be in there by default, and then the mod pack author can go ahead and force it. So you guys have probably seen some mod packs where things act a little bit differently than you might expect, and usually there's some config options you can do to save that or fix that. There are a few vanilla items that Jaquandro has cheated with. So for example, bricks and quartz. Just to make your lives easier, you can do this. Cool. Even though this doesn't have a reverse recipe, he kind of hard-coded it so that it would work. So basically, there's a few items that might work, but most, unless he hard-coded around it just to make your lives easier, won't. Another thing to note is that there is OR dictionary support, and by default, drawers will combine like items as long as they match their OR dictionary. So if we turn on advanced tooltips here with F3H, we'll see that this copper powder and this IC2 dust are two totally different items, right? But they do have a matching OR dictionary entry. And we know that because we know how the OR dictionary works. Those of you who may not know what the OR dictionary even is, basically it's a way that if there's multiple mods that add the same type of material, like copper or tin, they can be treated as the same item. So you can use Ender.io copper to craft industrial craft items, and you can use industrial craft copper to use Ender.io items. Those of you who've been around for a long time in the modded Minecraft community may remember a time when that wasn't the case, and you had to go find industrial craft copper to make your industrial craft items, and you had to find Ender.io copper to make your Ender.io items. That's not the case anymore because of the OR dictionary. And storage drawers will automatically merge them. So if you're processing copper with two different sets of machines, you might get two different copper dusts, or you might get two different copper ingots. Storage drawers helps you with that. Basically, place a item inside your drawer. Now, if you try to insert another item, like stone, obviously it's not going to work. But if you insert an item with the same OR dictionary entry, like the copper dust from Ender.io, it'll have no problem going in there. And you'll see it's added just fine. Sweet. And then when you extract it, it's always going to come out as whatever the item type was in the drawer. So it'll all come out as industrial craft copper dust. How cool is that? So that automatically converts from one type of OR dictionary entry to another. If you want to go in the opposite direction, you just make sure that the copper powder from Ender.io is the first one to go in there, and then copper powder from industrial craft turns into Ender.io's copper powder. Pretty cool. Now I've saved one of the best parts for last, and that is the drawer controller. The drawer controller basically makes it so that all drawers that are connected to each other are treated as one giant system, which is awesome. And this can be used for a lot of different purposes. So for example, we'll put some stone in here, we'll put some cobblestone in here, let's get some redstone, we'll get some glowstone, we'll put these in here and here. Cool. And I'm even going to get my key that shows the quantify amount so we can see what's all in there. Nice. And we'll even pick up this compacting drawer of gold to demonstrate that it works as well. Basically, this drawer controller treats itself as the master tile entity for all the drawers in the network, meaning that every drawer that's connected to either the drawer controller or another drawer can be accessed by the drawer controller. What kind of cool stuff can we do with this? Well, let's get ourselves a bunch more, let's say glowstone and redstone and cobblestone. And I've got a bunch of stone on me. Cool. If I double click on the drawer controller, it's going to empty my inventory of all items that are existing in the drawer network and automatically fill them, as we just saw it do. How cool was that? So you can see that you can easily just double click on the drawer controller and it'll populate all the stuff. Awesome. You can also use a key on a drawer controller and it'll toggle the attributes of the entire network as well. This goes for locking and setting the display and all that stuff. So personal key, concealment key, all that stuff works on the drawer controller to affect all the drawers on the network. You can also use the drawer controller to pipe items in. Obviously, you can pipe items into individual drawers, no problem, either by using hoppers or any other modded system you like Ender.io item conduits. This works just fine. So, for example, we could hopper cobblestone directly into the cobblestone storage drawer, no problem. But we wouldn't be able to hopper redstone in there. Can't go in. However, we can hopper redstone into the drawer controller, and it'll automatically find its way to the appropriate drawer. Awesome. This obviously goes for Ender.io item conduits as well, so if we were to grab ourselves a chest, and we wanted to pipe items into the network, we would have no problem doing so. Sweet. There is a controller slave. Basically, this gives you just another access point to your controller network. So basically, you can place your controller slave on there, and it works just like a drawer controller. The thing is, you can only have one master controller on a network, so if you need to pipe items into another area, so for example, if you wanted to hook up another Ender.io item conduit somewhere else along the network chain, you could do so, and it would work no problemo. So go ahead and throw some gold blocks in there and watch as your gold blocks find their way to the appropriate inventory. It should be noted that your storage network can be 12 blocks in any direction from the master controller. This means that it can be 12 blocks that way, and then 12 blocks that way, 12 blocks up, and 12 blocks down, for a total of 25 by 25 by 25 centered around the cube. It can even go 12 blocks in that direction and 12 blocks in that direction. So you can have a 25 by 25 by 25 cube of storage drawers with a controller in the center. So that's the range of the network that the drawer controller can handle. Finally, if you want to extend your drawer network without actually placing a drawer somewhere, just do yourself a favor and make some trim. Trim will act like a drawer, it just can't actually store items, so no placing items in there. But the drawer network is extended using the trim. So, for example, we can get out some of this andesite and pipe it in with our hopper, and it'll make its way in there. Cool. So trim is just a cheap, easy way to extend your network, maybe like around corners or something. It's a cheap method. You get 4 trim for a couple pieces of wood, so pretty nice. Obviously, you can't store stuff. If you wanted to, you could obviously put a drawer there as well. You'll also notice that it'll automatically find the best drawer to put something in. So even if you had an empty drawer in the network, it'll try and put items into a drawer that already has the item, rather than throw it into an empty drawer. So one more thing that I want to mention that I almost forgot to tell you guys about storage upgrades. The obsidian storage upgrade helps make things have more blast resistance. Kind of forgot to mention that, but if you are worried about your drawers being destroyed, go ahead and make sure you have a storage upgrade with the obsidian one in there. Not only will it double the amount of storage it can hold, but it'll also give it the blast resistance of obsidian. And with that, guys, I think we've hit the wrapping up point for this mod spotlight. So this has been the Storage Drawers mod by Draquadro. Pretty awesome mod. Obviously, I've used it a lot in Skyblock maps. You've seen me use it in Sky Factory 2.5 and Sky Factory 3, Infinity Evolved Expert Mode. I like the mod so much that we even throw it into the Direwolf 20 pack. So it's a pretty awesome mod. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't played with it before, and I hope that some of the lesser known features are now enlightened to you. For now, Direwolf 20 signing off. As always, take it easy.